I've seen some comment from Easy Coach. I think they had said that there will be no more carrying of fish. And he says, following complaints by some of our clients on poorly packaged fish products contaminating their accompanied luggage, we temporarily suspend the carrying of fish products as accompanied luggage in our buses. Then after that, after a complaint, they said the suspension has been lifted and you can now carry your fried, dried, smoked, salted, mbutange, kamongo, omena, etc. Mr. Speaker, I'm actually just mentioning this because, as I said, coincidentally, it deals with almost similar issues. And Mr. Speaker, I don't want to speak too much to issues of food and safety control because I think we have very many comprehensive laws. I've looked at this bill and I'm having a lot of difficulty in supporting this bill. And the reason why I'm having a lot of difficulty in supporting this bill, in terms of the principle behind it, I have no problem. But I think that the best way that this bill should have gone is to bring an amendment to the AFA Act and create the position of a controller within the AFA Act. Because normally when a bill is brought, it is supposed to cure some mischief. And I think the major mischief that is being cured here is creating a job, which is not problematic. We can always create jobs. There are so many Kenyans without jobs. So if we have a controller and we have created a job, there's no problem. But I think we don't need to bring a whole law to create a job. So for me, I think what we should have done, as I've said, is to include the AFA, do an amendment to the AFA Act to provide for the position of a controller. The other issue that I have a problem with, Mr. Speaker, is that if you look at the issue of traceability, because even the subsequent amendments to other bills, if you see, it's the issue of primarily the issue of who has authority in terms of control, so that you see when there's a conflict, it is being given to the controller. But the other big issue is the issue of traceability. Mr. Speaker, traceability is core. Yeah, like for instance, if you are talking the reason why, for instance, the Easy Coach may have raised this issue, like if there's a problem with some of those food substances, maybe there will be a problem in traceability. But I think transferring these standards to other agencies for me is not right. What would this controller be doing primarily? The controller himself should set standards of traceability, not transfer it to another agency, and then you only come to oversight and say, okay, what are your standards? Are you following your standards? No, I think these standards, if you are creating an entire bill for an office or a person, then they should have some substantive work, not be some sort of roving ambassador. Then the other challenge and problem I have, even though I'm not supporting the bill, but because it is likely to pass anyway, I will propose amendments. Mr. Speaker, I think some members have spoken to the issue and I'm also speaking to it. I have a problem of putting food and feed in one bill because it creates confusion. Even if you look at the issue of the, qualifications of the person who will be controller, it's either a person with either or, because it's very difficult to have a person who has expertise in food and expertise in feed. But I think if you actually look at the issue of feed, there's a lot of disservice on the issue of feed because the primary aim is actually on food, not feed. So I think there should be another amendment to another law that focuses mainly on animals and not on humans. And Mr. Speaker, the other issue I have is clause 7, yeah, on the issue of the appointment of the controller. I think it's flawed because it talks primarily of subsequent appointments, but the initial appointment is not very clear. So I think we should bring an amendment, or I hope to bring an amendment to do that. Then in clause 11, I think we should also provide an appeal process if the controller is dismissed and is not satisfied with that process. That is good governance practice, that there must be an appeal process. So for me, that is one of the things that I have an issue with. The other issue I have is in clause 16, where we are requiring counties to submit their food safety and feed safety to the controller. Mr. Speaker, I'm not too sure whether this is constitutional. We don't have a centralized system. We have a devolved system. And in a devolved system, you don't expect counties, governors, to be reporting to a controller. Is this controller more senior and more important than governors? So what if they don't actually then meet this standard? What then happens? So, Mr. Speaker, that is one of the things that I have a problem with. Mr. Speaker, again, I've said that in terms of the principle behind it, I want to agree with the member for Mandera West and Honorable Wundo, so I won't repeat what they've said. But I really have the same concerns, and that's why I'm telling you I'm very reluctant. I wish we'd have actually just amended the AFA Act to include the controller, and then, but if we are bringing a law as it is, then we should bring substantive provisions on traceability so that the controller has something substantive to do. Right now, if you actually look at the work of a controller, nothing. He's like a clerk. He's doing clerical work. And then this is a very important position of a person doing clerical work. So that is something that we need to look. So, Mr. Speaker, those are my comments. I have my reservations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Timothy Torotich, MP for Marakwet West.